Over the last decade, you've probably heard that in many states, potassium and phosphorus levels have been declining. Understandably, though, it may seem hard to believe it's an immediate concern because yields have been so good. So economics conducted our second nationwide nutrient balance analysis using the latest data to find out what's really going on. In order to get a clear picture of what is occurring, we analyzed the most recent USDA numbers for crop acreage and yield, APCO fertilizer sales numbers, and USDA animal production numbers to account for manure. This information has always been available, but this study is the only one of its kind to aggregate the data to draw conclusions and identify trends. Let's take a look at Iowa, for example. When analyzing USDA harvest information, we see that the potassium removal trend has increased 35% since 1975. This has to do with the fact we're growing more per acre, new hybrids having higher potassium demands, in some states stovers being removed and therefore more K as well. A number of factors are at play. When looking at APCO fertilizer sales, we see that not only are sales not keeping pace, they've actually decreased 8% since 1975. Those two variables, combined with USDA animal production numbers, reveal that the potassium balance has trended downward 221%, going from a roughly 7 pounds per acre deficit in 1975 to a 23 pounds per acre deficit. Given the decrease in potassium balance, you would expect the percentage of soils below the critical to increase from 2010 to 2015 in IPNI's soil test summary. However, we actually see the percentage has decreased, although 40% of the soils still test below the critical for potassium. The natural question is, how can this be? The simplest explanation is that the low-end soil test levels have been moderately brought up, some above the critical level. The higher soil test levels, on the other hand, have decreased at a greater rate, but in many cases not enough to bring them below the critical level. So even though we see a higher number of soils above the critical, balance trends are still decreasing overall. The big takeaway here is, it's easy to get lulled into a false sense of security when yields have been so good. But if you're not prioritizing fertilizer, it's not a question of if your yields and bottom line will be impacted by decreasing nutrient levels, but when. And that applies to everyone. So no matter if you're doing a cash rent for 1 year or have owned and operated the land for decades, it's important to conduct soil tests to ensure you're above the critical level. It sounds obvious, but it really is the key to helping you reach both your yield and earnings potential. To learn more, check out our newly updated geographic data page and see our state-by-state breakdown of the industry's only comprehensive nutrient balance analysis. It's just another way we're striving to supply the information you need to make more informed business decisions.